Guys, in this training, I'm going to be going through the Zone 2 cardio work, the Smarter Fat Loss Formula. As you know, I'm a huge proponent of doing Zone 2 work right from the get go in terms of looking to improve body composition rapidly. And I'm going to explain exactly why this is. So, what is Zone 2? Zone 2 is a reflection of your heart rate, the heart rate zone that you're in. So at 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, it's a steady pace allowing for conversation and maintainable for extended periods of time. So the kind of thing is that you can talk but you can't sing, okay? And when we are utilizing zone 2 cardiovascular work, we're in the fat burning zone in terms of the energy substrate that we're using to fuel that exercise endeavor is primarily fatty acids, so breaking down stored fat, which is what we're looking to do, and utilize that for fuel for our energy for our training performance. Okay. And at the end of the day, if we've got a lot of stored fat on our body, we need to burn through that. Okay, that's stored energy, that's food that we've previously consumed that's been stored there, and we have to find a good way to burn through that. And zone 2 stuff is very, very efficient at doing that. So it allows us to burn more fat by utilizing or enhancing fat utilization as that energy fuel for that endeavor. It improves recovery, this kind of active recovery as well, and it's going to help improve daily energy. It's going to regulate appetite and even reduce cravings. It's even another thing in terms of another positive thing for the day. So rather than having a complete rest day where you're not training, and maybe if you're trying to get good habits and behaviors, you don't have your training session in the morning, so then maybe the first decision of the day isn't a real positive one, and then it can be quite easy to get away from you. So even on your non-training days, if you still get up at the same time and instead of going and doing a training session, you go in and do some zone 2 stuff, you're going to improve your recovery from the previous training session and for the next training session. You're going to get yourself in a good position there. You've started the day on the front foot. You're going to improve energy levels and stuff like that as well. But more importantly, we're going to improve mitochondrial function and insulin sensitivity, which is the big levers we want to pull on here. So I'll start with the problems with real high intensity, because if we think, if we just need to burn through energy, then surely high intensity activity is the way to go. And high intensity activity does burn a lot of energy, but it comes with a lot of consequences as a result of that. So high intensity stuff is glycolytic in nature, meaning you're using glycogen primarily to fuel that training endeavor as opposed to fatty acids. Now, what comes from that is a delayed hunger response. So right after a high intensity activity, you don't want to eat. You don't feel like eating. You feel like you could be sick. And you might think, well, that's a good idea, because then I'm not going to be hungry. Well, the hunger response is a delayed one, and it comes with a bang. Usually after a high intensity activity endeavor, if you've ever done a boxing circuit or something like that, you'll feel like for the rest of the day doing nothing, like not moving. So your general daily movement will go through the floor, and you'll feel super hungry, like, because you've depleted glycogen stores. Your body has detected that glycogen stores are low, and your body goes, oh, hang on a minute, we need to get, the brain needs glucose, we need to get glucose into the body for essential, it is a primary fuel source that the body runs on. So the body's like, well, I need to send some signals out to say, hey, get some food in, let's replenish these glycogen stores. And what happens is your hunger goes through the roof, and then it makes it very hard. So from this high intensity activity, you now have really high hunger and a real low tendency to move. So pretty shit environment for fat loss in general, okay? And then even on the other side of the equation, if we look at, why don't we just do steps? Steps is great. Steps is a really good way to get some low intensity activity. But remember, your heart rate for walking you might get to, 90 beats per minute or something like that. Like, you can get all those benefits with zone 2 at an amplified level without any need to recover from it. There is no recovery aspect to zone 2 stuff. You're not going to feel beat up from it or feel like completely done in, you need a day off and all that from doing it. That's the beauty of it. There isn't really an upper level in terms of the dose that you can use here. It's as much as you can kind of handle from a boredom perspective, because it isn't particularly, entertaining effectively. So if I was going to walk for 20 minutes or I was going to do some zone 2 for 20 minutes, the zone 2 is going to be far more efficient. I'm going to burn far more calories. I'm going to expend far more energy, and all the benefits in terms of mitochondrial stuff, insulin sensitivity, and all those types of things that you get from any type of activity is going to be amplified with zone 2 versus something just like walking, okay? So if I've got time to walk, then I would just do zone 2 instead. Okay, that would be my preferred option. So now we're talking about the mitochondria, the power plant of the cells. Okay, so zone 2 cardiovascular work allows us to build more mitochondria. So the mitochondria are like muscle, we can build more of them, we can make the ones that we have more efficient. We can improve that in efficiency and improve the mitochondria's ability to take the raw material that we have in terms of food and turn that into energy. And improving mitochondrial efficiency allows us to burn fat more readily at rest, so it improves metabolic flexibility, that ability to switch between oxidizing fatty acids and burning glycogen for fuel. So switching through those fuel substrates based on demand. And when you're very overweight and you're carrying a lot of body fat, you will always be impaired with this. This will be very, very difficult for you. And then that comes with an inability to kind of get access to those fat stores, generally speaking, in an acute sense. But if we think of the mitochondria as fireplaces and our stored energy as wood, our stored body fat as wood, zone 2 effectively builds more fireplaces and makes the fireplaces that we have bigger, more efficient, better at burning the wood. So we can burn more wood and we can burn wood more readily. So people who are overweight, they often burn more carbohydrates than fatty acids at low, even at low intensity levels. And that comes from mitochondrial dysfunction, poor metabolic flexibility, a bit of insulin resistance, and then therefore impaired fat burning. None of which is a great environment for getting in good shape, okay? So zone 2 works by improving that mitochondrial health, the density and the function, improving fat burning efficiency, lowering your respiratory exchange ratio, meaning the energy that you're exchanging, or the energy substrate that you're using at a given intensity. So you can measure this through like some sort of device that you put on your face and you breathe out, and based on what you're breathing out, is it carbohydrates or fatty acids, and then that is measured against the intensity of the activity that you're doing at that given time. So we improve metabolic flexibility, we improve insulin sensitivity. So why not go in? We're already trying to burn fat, we're already trying to get in good shape. Why would we not try and improve all those types of things as well? Okay, so how we train at zone 2, calculate our max heart rate. Now, it's probably going to be around 125 to 135 beats per minute. Even 135 beats per minute, you're probably getting into zone 3 there, but you're like right at the lower end of zone 3. So I find I can go up to 130, 135 beats per minute, and I don't find that any negative consequence after that, meaning I don't feel fatigued, I don't feel particularly hungry either. But if you're looking to do it without your heart rate, then can you do a talk test? Can you speak? Can you talk, but you can't sing? Okay, that's a good way to do it. And then pick an activity that does it. So you can do brisk walking on a treadmill with a steeper incline, a little bit of low intensity jogging potentially. But me personally, I prefer either the Stairmaster or the elliptical. That would be my two preferences. Elliptical, very low impact, no impact on the joints whatsoever. Probably the most orthopedically safe, for lack of a better term, activity to use it for there. Now, at the end of the day, if you've got time to sit and watch TV, you've got time to do some form of zone 2 cardio. That could be putting an aerobic step up in your living room and just stepping up and stepping off it. If you've got time to stand and watch the TV, you can do that. Now, some people might not want to do that, but at the end of the day, you came here to learn the best ways to lose fat and the best ways to get in shape, and I'll tell you the best ways. Whether you want to adhere to that or not, that would be your prerogative, but if you want to know the best way to do it, then I'm going to tell you the best and the fastest way to do it. Whether you want to adhere to it, again, like I said, it's totally up to you. And for the people who have incorporated this in the early stages, I always see improved benefits. Like the fat loss phase, we want to get over and done with quickly. There's no point in dragging it out any longer than we need to. And in order to do that, the zone 2 cardio becomes a key and crucial part of it.